that. Still looking for a 3-0 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're all here. All right, I got 7:30. Welcome everybody to the June 2nd, 22 edition of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. All members of the zoning board are participating remotely. That would be Mr. Tanzi, myself, Mr. Rosa, Mr. Galley, Mr. Baker Sr., Mr. Baker Jr., and Mr. Haynes. And something that I don't say that often, everybody should be aware that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed as we speak. We got a legal ad, 7:30 p.m. remotely conducted continuance public meeting will be held remotely via Zoom by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Thursday, June 2nd, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Discussion, deliberation, potential vote on the comprehensive permit for residences, 320 Concord Street, Rockland, Massachusetts. Project applications, narrative plans, and reports may be viewed by appointment in the offices of the Zoning Board of Appeals with the regulatory coordinator or at the town clerk's office located at the Rockland Town Hall. All right. It's a meeting. Do I need a vote to open the public meeting? Attorney Galvin?
You do not, because, well, yeah, to open the public meeting, but there's no public hearing, so it's just a public meeting of the board.
All right, so public meeting of the board. I guess again, if we need a motion, I need a motion to open the public meeting. I got a motion there on Mr. Baker Jr. Mr. Baker Sr., you want to second that?
Sure.
I got a roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Sr.?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Meeting is open. Okay. We get rid of this. So we don't need that. All right. Starting at the top, I'd like to first formally thank Attorney Galvin for busting butt to get this done. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do it. He did it. So we all know he's a rock star. I just wanted to say it in public.
Thanks. Thank you all.
So again, procedural history. I started reading all this. A lot of this stuff, like I said, Attorney Galvin put it together. Has anybody seen anything within the first label paragraphs that look odd or off the chain here?
Not until we get to how far into it are you talking about?
I'm fine. Everything that I've seen so far, I'm fine with. Attorney Galvin has pointed out there are a few things that need to be looked at. Tim, if you've got something to head to, let's head to that.
So in a number of spots, it refers to the project as 4 single-family 2-bedroom condominium homes, and so starting with Roman numeral 2, the total project proposes a total of 4 single-family 2-bedroom condominium homes. There are 3-bedroom homes. One of the weird things that I'm going to take a deep breath, but there's inconsistency between various pages of the drawings and the architectural drawings about how many square feet the units are. So we refer, everything that's on here comes off of the first page, but I just don't know if it's even worth beating this dead horse again. But it just some of them are like 1,800 square feet. That aside, there's no perimeter fencing. It's only the neighbor's fencing. Is not putting anything up in that same paragraph.
Okay.
And then the last paragraph in that section, this is Roman numeral 2, it just has the property is located entirely within a single family neighborhood with single family residential properties. So the last part of the sentence is true, but it's not a single family neighborhood. It's just R1.
Single family resident abutting to either side and across the street and property to the rear used in part for a golf course. So basically the property is located entirely within an R1 zoning district. Does that work better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. No, I agree with you. I had 100%.
Yeah, not a single family neighborhood. There's other condos and things in there.
No, I dig it. Just out of curiosity, between Deb and Bob, who's going to be making the notations for revisions? Just so I know.
Well, I'll try. But I may ask you to go slow so that I can make sure I write down everything that needs to be done. Okay.
Right. Can we double up on that? I hate to ask you, but can you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not a problem. Can you just share the document on the screen?
Oh,
now?
yeah. No, absolutely. That's my bad.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can, yeah.
So
Is
the
it-
perimeter fence, isn't there a fence on the Brigham side as well? Or did we side against that?
There's a fence on the left, there's a fence on the right, there's no fence on the golf course side. I'd have to look at the plans again because I believe that the fence on the right as shown is, I'm not gonna say substantially, but it is definitely over the property line and onto the property of 330 Concord Street.
So
On
are we requiring them to put a new fence in or maintain a fence there, or?
I'll be honest with you, I would really look to see for a fence on their property. That way the homeowners association is 100% in control of that fence. You know, again, it's a screening situation. I know there's going to be a ton of landscaping. I think that was so I can't remember whose objection it was to a full fencing, but I believe that it's a better situation because they have no jurisdiction over what happens with the fence. You know, obviously the fences that are there are on other people's property. It would behoove them to keep that fence there. But if it doesn't stay there, then there's an issue. And again, I would prefer to see a fence going all the way around, but it's the flavor of the board. Whatever the board wants, I'm going to be in favor of.
So can I ask another question? In
Please.
terms of the neighborhood that the property is located, how do you want me to describe that, Tim?
I think let's describe it just by its zoning classification. That's R1.
Yeah.
I would say that the property is located entirely within the R1
Zoning district.
With
Again, the single family assumes that there's no, this is my opinion. Single family assumes that there's no accessory use apartments, in-law apartments and stuff like that, which we know there probably is. If you keep it just straight, yeah, I agree with Tim. If you keep it to just the zoning district.
I would say that the property is located in an R1 residential zoning district and leave out like a low density, single family district, leave that stuff out.
Right. You're not very far from R3. You've got other multifamilies and condo developments in the immediate neighborhood. So describing it as a neighborhood, it isn't entirely a single family neighborhood. So
Okay.
the simpler thing would be said just to refer to its zoning and then note single family residential properties abutting on either side and across the street.
Yeah, that I said that I agree with him 100% on that.
Okay, I'm just pulling up some of the things.
I think the fence on the right side should start out at 6 or 7 feet and then taper down to a 4 foot for sight distance.
So just to be clear, you are in favor of making the applicant fence the property.
Yes, on that side,
All right.
and then have it tapered down, you know, the last 2 sections of fence tapered down to a 4-foot.
I think they have to do
Visibility?
that. I think that's a requirement. I don't know if it's state building code or what it is, but I know that Tom Rubel, as the fence viewer, has required that every single time that somebody has brought up a complaint about it. So I know that is definitely a requirement for, like you said, the site distance.
Right.
So, so we got that. Tim did make a good, good catch on the number of bedrooms. Are we going to average the square footage? Is that how we're going to do
Actually,
that?
and I'll just jump in where I hear something that's relevant.
Please.
If you look at the last revised site development plans,
Mhm.
there's specific floor areas for buildings 1, 2, and 3, and they're listed as 1414. And
Okay,
then building 4 is the smaller one, and it's like 1346 or something like that.
Yep, 1354. So um, my issue with it is that the plans, the architectural plans as submitted, show the area as 1855. And if you just look at the upper level floor plan, it's 1255 on one and 1315 on the other. And the second one is over like 1900 square feet. It's almost 2000 square feet. And in our Rockland defines floor area as being the total of living area excluding the garages on all floors. And right now the developers proposed 2 floors that are entirely above grade. So I would defer to Tom on it, but we don't even have any below grade. Maybe we might exclude, something. So it's just a question of, I just keep beating this dead horse of just the things are inconsistent in terms of what they're actually proposing. So we had been going with a footprint dimension.
that's why I'm pulling up the site plan. That's exactly why I'm putting up the site plan, because I thought there was like a footprint square footage. Yeah, see, these are the footprint square footages. 1414 for 1, 2, and 3, and the 1354 for that one. Do we have to refer to overall living square footage, the livable square footage? Because I think that's where it sounds like that's where the difference is coming from, or like the confusion is coming from. Can we limit that description to just the overall footprint distance for the buildings? Or do we have to include the 1800 square feet living, blah, 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 blah? I guess that's my question.
So
Actually, Tim, can you refer to me where you're seeing? Oh, there it is right there. Okay. Rows of 4 single homes containing, this is where it is, containing approximately that of floor area. So if we're going to try and make this simple, it proposes a total of 4 single-family, 3-bedroom condominium homes, units 1 through 3, with a footprint area of what do they say, 1414, and unit 4 with a footprint area of 1354 square feet.
Mhm.
Does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, if we just want to call it footprint.
And if that kind of keeps it simple, then we'll just keep it simple like that. So, footprint area with a 2-car garage with a 2-car garage on the first floor, as shown on the last revised architectural plans and last revised site development plans. Accordance with this, one of the single family shall be perpetually restricted, blah, blah, 8%, yep.
So I actually used the specific square footages in another provision of this agreement.
Yes.
That's why I said approximately there.
Mhm.
Okay. But I actually listed the specific dimensions in another section, and I based it on what I could find as the last revised site plan.
Okay, so basically this Roman numeral number 2, the total project, when it comes to containing approximately 1,414 square feet of floor area,
Yeah,
that's a generalized statement. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
like an exact representation. It's just a generalized at this point.
yeah.
Okay, if it's just a generalized situation, I can
Well,
understand that.
I could put a footnote here that says the specific floor areas shall be identified, are identified in the last revised site development plans.
Tim, architecture is your baby. I'm defaulting to you.
Again, I'm not trying to beat the dead horse.
No.
So whatever everybody wants to do is okay with me. It's just he's building, these houses are 2,000 square feet. So they're 2,000 square feet of floor area.
Okay, so is that how you want, to say?
That's not approximately 1,400, but does everybody, this is the problem we keep having. The developer has continued, like through his documents, has a lot of inconsistencies. And some documents make us lead us to believe these are significantly smaller and half buried in the ground than they are. So it is just he's not proposing approximately 1,400 square foot houses. He's proposing approximately 2,000 square foot houses.
So would you feel more
Okay.
comfortable if I put approximately 2,000 square feet?
So if the decision is to list this and describe it by the floor area these units contain, then 1855, I think, is what he's actually proposed, something like that.
Let's use
I need
1865
other
as the
people.
number.
I'm only pointing out the inconsistency.
No, that's
I need other
fine.
people to weigh in here.
This is why we have to lock it down because of these inconsistencies. Again, this Roman numeral number 2 is kind of a generality at this point. Later on, we get down to he has to build it according to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, agreed.
In this one, if we wanted to keep it simple, it's 4 single family, 3-bedroom condominium homes containing approximately 1,800 square feet of floor area, and leave it at that. And then as we go down, then we can nail down as we get down into the actual conditions, we can nail the actual square footages down. Does that make sense? Does that work?
Oh, is there even, just to avoid any discrepancy, is there a need to cite the number in this paragraph H, or can we refer to it as, paragraph H, paragraph 2, or section 2, whatever it is, or can we just refer to the square footage as set forth in whatever the provision is that you're talking about?
Again, it's just a description. It's just a general description of the project. It's not defining anything. It's not referring to anything. It's literally just so if somebody picks this up and looks at it, they get a sense of what the project is consisting of. I have this issue too every once in a while. This is just a generality. It's down further into the conditions where we actually nail it and say, you can't build anything bigger than 1,414 square foot of footprint area. And again, Tim knows the square footages of the overall, the overall is better than I do. So I look at the footprint area. If we can stick with the footprint area, as a nail down later on. Like I said, I feel like this is just a generality at this point. So
why don't we say instead of approximately, why don't we say generally?
there you go. You know, if we say generally 1,800 square feet of floor area, that takes into consideration the livable square footage up, you know, on the first floor and the second floor. So. And again, it's just an approximation. It's just generally a number so everybody can kind of get an idea of what's going on with the project.
So not to split hairs, but this section shouldn't it be more about the footprint rather than the floor area? Where it's
Don't think
a growth?
It doesn't really matter because
No.
all it is a general description of the project. It's
Mhm.
not a formal, we have to do this.
Yeah.
This is the footprint area. This is the first floor area. This is the height of the building. We do that in the absolute conditions. Again, I just want to make this simple. This should be just a general description of the property, the way that I understand it. So if we can keep it simple, that would be the best thing at this point.
Question on that?
Yep.
The garage under or garage on the first floor?
I think it should be garage on the first floor.
I'm just gonna say 2-car garage as shown on the revised plans.
That's even better.
All right, I took out the word under.
Okay.
The reason I put the word under in, when I looked at the front elevations of the home, the garage was under a portion of the house. That's why I put it.
That's very true. It's just typically when people think garage under, they're thinking a sunken garage as opposed to just a garage under under a floor. At least that's the way that I've always thought.
Garage as shown on the plan.
Perfect. We're good all the way through there. Shall include town side that we're good there. In addition to the foregoing condominium homes, several landscaped small gardens, new trees, grasses, and shrub cover walked by the ground and surrounded to form the project, as well as this is where it is, a perimeter fence.
I already, by the way, I already fixed this in response to Tim's comments. I'm going to leave the word perimeter fence, but I'm going to say, other than along the project's frontage on Concord Street and rear boundary abutting the golf course property.
Single family corner that form the project as well as a perimeter fence of and if that's how we're going to do it, that means that based on what that states, that says that we are going to require a fence along the property, but he did not propose one.
Well, that's up to you to do.
I would say,
He was adamant about putting shrubs and stuff over that side.
oh yeah, I would, because he did not propose a fence anywhere, I would say take out the whole perimeter fencing, or anything to do with fencing, because he did not propose it at any time at all.
And so we're gonna get to that part of the decision, then we have to decide
Exactly.
whether to make the fence a condition or not.
Yeah, that's gonna end up being a condition. Also show proposed stormwater management systems consisting of catch basin manner of a single family condominium home as proposed will be connected to municipal water. And the single family condominium homes as proposed will be connected to municipal water and sewer via existing connections or new connections in Concord Street. Okay, I can see that.
Do we put with the approval of the water and sewer?
Not yet. We're not there yet. I'm finally starting to understand how
I
all
put
this
it in
works.
more than one spot.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, that goes way down. Say the property is located entirely within, we've already changed that. Project will be accessed by a two-way site access driveway leading from Concord Street to individual driveways and 2-car garages accessed by a two-way site access driveway leading from Concord Street to individual driveways and 2-car garages. And also a 22-foot wide dedicated emergency vehicle turnaround area that will be striped and maintained as an emergency vehicle. Yep, parking in the main access drive will be restricted to main. Yep. It's access to all the single-family condominium units. Anybody, any problems?
Nope.
Application, on or about that, I'm going to make the assumption that between Deb and Attorney Galvin, this application section is all set when it comes to dates. All right,
Um,
dates and everything.
I, just so you know, I cross-checked it, and I'm welcome to have Deb review it to make sure that she's satisfied, but the application itself was dated the 12th, but as I read it and looked at the stamps, it was the 22nd that we received it.
That's fine. I'm gonna let that go at this point.
But,
Latest project plans, revisions,
that-
documents.
Rob, in
Okay.
that paragraph, just a quick grammatical fix.
Yep,
It's 3 market rate homes, plural. And that's in the middle of it. And then the last sentence, it's the 1 low and moderate income home is proposed to be an affordable unit, singular.
okay, I like that. And it's still, and again, you still got the 2-bedroom versus the 3-bedroom.
I fixed that already, and I fixed
Rocking.
what Tim just brought up.
Rocking. Following documents, exhibits among those I received from the, okay, so this is the list that Deb put together that, you just received that, right? You just received that today?
I'll do that. Yes, I just received it. I'll take care of that.
All right, not worried. Among others received, not worried about it, not worried. Documents received from other boards, not worried about it. Technical review consultants, we're good here, we're good here, we're good here. Blah, blah, departments, as indicated before the board notified all local boards, commissions, applications, decisions, comments when making its decision. Okay, findings of fact. Here we're based on the information presented at course of public hearing, board makes the fall. Here we go. Limited dividend organization, nonprofit status. I'm going to assume that this site control, Attorney Galvin's got it.
All good.
Based on the most recent subdivision maintained by the town does not have, we already know that. Upon information and belief the following is believed to be true. The sites used for the town's affordable housing do not comply. We already know this. The construction of the project will not result in the commencement of construction of low and moderate income housing on sites comprising one of the, we already know that. Factual finding, property is located, yep.
Cut to D.
You're good up to D?
Yeah.
Is that seriously? Okay, if you're good up to D, I'm gonna just keep going. I'm gonna go right to D here.
Go right to D. Got the usual suspects.
All right, the developer plans to construct 4 single-family condominium homes with 3 bedrooms and 2-car garage and
A
2-car
2-car
garages
garage.
on the first floor.
2-car garage, period. We're just gonna
Okay.
strike the under.
Okay. 3 of the 4 homes have a floor area of, have a footprint area of that. And 1 of the 4 homes has a footprint area of that. And just to double check. 1414, 1354. The
How
developer
do you
shall
want me to
construct.
describe that? A footprint, Tim?
I think that's where, I thought that's what we settled on. There was
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure because we kind of were like, are we calling it generally, this is the square footage? So
Up
I'm
in
good
the,
either
up
way.
in the
What do you-
basic description, of the project, we can get, I think we can get away with it. But now that we're into this, now we're locking down physical numbers that were reported on the plans. Generally in the description, that's one thing, but now we're locking down the numbers.
So I changed the word from floor area to footprint area.
Yep. Yep. 3 of the farms have that, and 1 of the 4 homes has a floor area, has a footprint area of that. The developer shall construct the project substantially in accordance with the revised site development, including revisions that, revised architectural plans dated that, and further revised site development, including grading, drainage, collected site development plans, or final site development plans consistent with these last revised site development plans. I can dig that. The developer plans to construct a shared access drive, 20 feet in width to access the driveway. Let me just make certain. That seems a little bit skinny to me. We did not put it on this. All right, hold on.
It's on the last plans.
Yeah, the last, this one, I think. Give it a second. Right there.
It shows 20 feet on C1 site layout plan.
Yeah, I got 20 feet. There was a question though. He's got 20 feet, but the leaders are a little bit off. All right, that's getting better. Let me just, I wanted, because I pointed this out in the beginning. He had a bad detail. He had a bad street cross-section detail right here. So I don't know how descriptive we want to get. It's 20 foot wide, curb to curb, with 1 foot Cape Cod berms either side. That way, I mean, that's a full description of what he of the
The
access
developer
drive.
plans to construct a shared access driveway 20 feet in width to access the driveway areas and garages.
Mhm.
And has proposed a 22-foot wide emergency vehicle turnaround that should be striped and maintained. The 20-foot in width inclusive of the 1 foot berms.
No, it's gutter to gutter.
You have to add the 1 foot berm on either side
That's why I'm asking.
as the road layout.
Plus a 1 foot Cape Cod berm.
berm. Yep. And Tim said that was C1. Make sure I get to the C. Well, that's C3. Let me get to C1. C1, and then again, proposed 20 foot, 22 foot wide emergency vehicle turnaround area. And again, I'm probably going to have to say that that's
Bermed around it.
yeah, that's bermed around it. So I don't know if what we're doing. Scale wise, I don't know how that works out. I don't know if he's calling 22 foot wide back of berm to back of berm, or if it's gutter to gutter with 1 foot around it. Because again, 20 foot with 1 foot and 1 foot, that's 22 feet wide.
It'll be 24 feet.
No, it's 20 foot. If it's 20 foot wide with 1 and
Right.
1 on either side, that's 22. He's calling this a 22 foot wide. So if that's the case, it's 22 plus a foot and a foot, but I don't know
So
if
does
that's,
the turnaround area have a berm too?
it's called out as having a berm, but I'm trying to visually scale this because it feels like, hold on.
Looks like the berm's going all the way around.
Oh, it's definitely going all the way around. It's just, it's a matter of, if
It says
I'm literally
CC.
scaling off my computer screen right now.
If you see on the thing, it says CCB, Cape Cod berm,
Yep,
going all the way around,
yep.
all and down the sides. So it is a 1 foot Cape Cod berm.
Yeah.
I
All right.
fixed it so that it's now 20 feet in width for the main driveway and 22 foot wide emergency with plus 1 foot wide Cape Cod berms on both sides, on all sides. What?
Yep, I got the scale on it. He is doing 22 foot wide with a 1 foot Cape Cod berm all the way around. So the turnaround area is wider than, is 2 feet wider than the roadway layout.
Like the driveways. It's like the driveway.
Yeah, yep. Yep. And that's weird. He's got Cape Cod berm on the driveways. That's odd.
You're probably going to see some minor detail changes, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll just describe it generally here.
Yep. Reasonably general. Okay. The project standard, asks this. We've already revised that. 3 of the 4 single family condos shall be market rate homes, and 1 of the 4 single family condos shall be affordable, meaning that in accordance. Okay, we know that. The developer agreed. There we go. The developer
that.
agreed to restrict the height of the proposed homes so that the ridge of the homes shall not be higher than 25 point, you guys in your inches, 25.4 feet above the garage floor elevation.
You want me to say 25.4 feet
Yep, yep,
and take out the 4 inches?
yep.
Yep.
Yep, 25.4 feet above the garage floor elevation using the approved final grade shown on the last revised site development plans.
Yeah, okay, so after you all received this draft, I looked at a provision of the additional potential conditions, and I saw some more dimensions. So if you give me the ability to share my screen, I can show you what I added. It'll be quicker for me to show you.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Do I need it? There you go.
are you able to see that now?
No, let me just move that. Okay,
Can you see?
got it.
Okay, so do you see can you see what I'm looking at now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The final site development plans shall also eliminate the outdoor decking proposed for the rental, well, it's not rental dwelling units.
I don't think he did. Did he say he was gonna eliminate the decks?
No,
I don't think he did.
This is something that I just copied and I needed to go over.
Oh, okay, good. No, he didn't. He did not allow those decks to be, he wants those decks.
it was in the notes, it was in the draft from Deb.
Yeah. it was in the
But
notes.
it wasn't actually, right, it wasn't something we were actually doing.
No, that can't, that I think actually that came from,
All right, I'm gonna take that out then,
yep.
and then 25 foot,
25.4.
yeah,
Yep.
I don't think I'm
That's
gonna
good.
state it again. I
Mhm.
think what I'm gonna do is just delete it,
Okay,
All right.
because it's in there already. And then the
Yep.
footprint for the dwellings,
great.
We've already, do you have to talk about it again? Because we've already gone.
I don't think we have to at all.
We've already talked about it. When it comes
Unless
to the
somebody
footprint
wants
of
me
the
to.
town.
So I like the dimensions, but I also like the setbacks that we have listed in that particular yellow highlighted area that you have.
Yep, because again, that is right. 14 feet for the decking, 18 feet for the building.
20 feet on the sidelines.
20 feet on the rear line, that's correct.
Has
And
that
27
delivering
feet
stuff
on
we
the front.
agreed to.
Wouldn't he need a variance for the deck?
No, there's no
Absolutely.
variances required.
For the deck, yeah, there is.
No, this is a comprehensive permit. Variances don't apply. We only have waivers.
Oh, okay, so he would say, but he'd still have to request a waiver.
It was
correct?
listed.
He's
Okay, that's right, it was
basically,
listed.
he's basically asked you to waive the bylaw.
Nice. Nice.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I can just ask a question to Attorney Galvin. In terms of the dimensional requirements, are they as enforceable if set forth in a finding of fact as opposed to a condition?
No, we can incorporate this into a condition.
If we could, please.
Yeah, so
Right.
I'll copy that now and we'll incorporate that into a condition. I just cleaned up the language a little bit while we were talking.
Okay.
I'll save that and we will incorporate that into a condition.
Thank you.
I can stop sharing now if you want.
I just want to look at that one more time. The footprint of the drawing and the concept plan shall be 30 by 46 on the concept and on concept plan 2. 30 by 48 to set the, Tim, does that make sense? I feel like he switched them. I feel like that's bigger than what they were.
I took a look and see what dimensions we actually picked.
Wow.
My notes here.
Well, they're slightly bigger.
It feels like it's a different, it feels like it's difference.
30 by 46 is 1380, which is more than 1354, and 30 by 48 is 1440, which is bigger than 1414.
Okay, I've got, coming from that C1 plan, rectangular dimension. He's got as 28 by 48 for units 1 through 3, and a rectangular dimension of 28 by 46 for building number 4. But there is cantilever sections as well as cutout sections. Like in the back corner, he's got a jog. In the front of the building, he's got a jog in at the main whatchamacallit, the main entrance to the building. So let me just look at this for a second. 28 46. Huh? All right. Wait a second. Whoa. Math's not working here.
That's because I think there's gonna have to be some final plans.
Yeah, Attorney Galvin, do you mind if I share my screen just so I can show everybody what
Now,
I'm
let
looking
me
at?
stop sharing mine.
Okay. So let me just move you guys are over there now. All right. Right here, everybody see what I'm looking at?
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's got the 1354, but he's got the dimensions of 46 by 28. 46 times 28. What's up with that? That's less than the 1354. But the thing is that this 46 by 28, that's a rectangle. He's got a bump out, or a bump in rather, here. And he's got a bump in right here. So if you just do what I just did, you would have to take out that, and you'd have to take out that for footprint area, which would be less than that.
What does BFE mean?
Basement floor elevation.
Okay, thanks.
Never be afraid to ask the question, please. Anybody, if you don't understand terminology on anything like this, because I'm going to end up doing the same thing. If I don't understand it, I'm going to ask. So, so square footage wise, now I have a problem. I had a problem at first because Tim had a problem. Now I have even more of a problem.
So
Sorry,
why don't we
Tim.
just why don't we just leave it to the 1314 or 1354 and the 1414 and not put in the specific dimensions? And then if it's going to be materially different, then he's going to have to come back.
Yeah, he's definitely, there's going to have to be a something here. Either there's a mislabeling in here or something, because again, he's got these all as pretty much 28 feet. All right, so I can live with that. He's got a weird cantilever section going on here. He's got a half cantilever. No, he's got a full cantilever section. Again, a weird cantilever section going on over here. No real cantilever, not a huge cantilever over the garage. That's basically what he's doing. He's cantilevering over the main living floor of everything, but not over the garage as much. So again, if you come over here, 28 times 48. Now I'm getting aggravated.
Well,
I think we're getting lost in the details here. These are concept plans.
Right.
I think we've kind of already indicated the footprint area. Let's leave it at that. And if he wants to make a change, he'll come back.
All right.
you know what probably happened, Rob? The footprint's probably a polyline. He probably listed the polyline of the footprint, the foundation footprint,
Yeah.
and came up with the 1441.
Yeah, but that would be less than the actual length times width, because the polyline has duck-ins. Polyline would actually be smaller. So he got an issue. There's an issue there. We know that there's an issue. Whatever the issue is, it's going to be finalized in the final plans that Tom Rubel is going to look at. I guarantee it. He's going to call me up and say, just get in here and look at this, because this is going to be interesting. How the remainder of this works. If this was, if this was a giant development like the other one we got going on, he would probably end up calling in outside, outside consultants to review all this. But at this point, with 4 units, if it comes down to it, I'll sit with Mr. Rubel all day and go over it.
Let's take these out
Okay.
and just say the setback shall be 14-foot side offset for decks, 18 for the main structure, including projections, and 20 from the rear lot line.
Yep.
Great.
20, and it was 27, and if you want, it's 27 for the front. That's the one thing he doesn't need a waiver on. All right, so I'm still sharing my screen. We got this. That's when Attorney Galvin came in, had a few other things to throw in there. Are we on H? Because I believe that there are no wetlands as defined on the project, on the project.
Wetlands, 1 main drive.
So H is good. There will be 1 main access drive to the project from Concord Street, 1 way in, 1 way out. Parking shall be restricted on and along the main access drive, and signage shall be installed and maintained by the developer and its successors and assigns to maintain safe access and egress. We already had that. We're good there. Proposed by the applicant, required by this decision, each housing unit will be serviced by a public water supply from the applicant public to operate by joint. Okay. The board finds that the board does not have the authority under Chapter 40B to grant a waiver from the requirements of this for the provision of water service because this is not a board of the town of Rockland. The granting of this comprehensive is subject to and conditioned on the applicant reaching an agreement for the provision of water service by the Abington Rockland Joint Waterworks. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, is good.
The applicant has supplied to the board a letter from the Rockland Sewer Commission, which has indicated development has been pre-approved to connect to granting of this prior subject to the condition of representation, not intended to waive the requirements. The sewer right would be to require the Rockland Sewer Commission to allow the development. Hold on. And potential authority that the board might have under Chapter 40B to require the Rockland Sewer Commission to allow the development to connect to the public sewer system in light of the current moratorium on sewer connections.
No, I don't like that.
Something's weird there. The applicant has supplied to the board a letter from the Rockland Sewer Commission in which the Rockland Sewer Commission has indicated that the development has been pre-approved to connect to the public sewer system. The granting of this comp permit is subject to and conditioned on this representation and is not intended to waive the requirements of the Rockland Sewer Commission or to exercise any potential authority that the board might have under Chapter 40B to require the Rockland. I like it now. Now I like it. Once you put the inflection into it, you start to understand it a little better. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about this. It's basically saying that the only reason why we're accepting this or granting this is because the sewer department said they think they're going to be able to do this. We're going to pre-approve you at this point, but we're not waiving anything.
Nope.
As the board.
A good one.
So
That's
I kind of like that. The applicant proposes to connect its stormwater management system. No, it doesn't.
I cannot, this is the one I cannot figure out.
Connect to sort of the stormwater, municipal source after on-site treatment detention and the applicant proposes. Greg Tanzi, I'm going to come to you. They're doing an on-site drive. They're doing on-site roof runoff. Give me a condition, sir.
Oh, can I ask a question before you ask, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
The stormwater management system is not connected to the town's stormwater system.
Let me get to the plan right there.
I can't find any connection. And then when it comes down the driveway, it goes to a rain garden.
Yep.
And other than in the event it floods.
Right there, that's the emergency overflow.
Like, other than it going into the street, I
Yep.
can't find any connection.
Okay, so then the solution is the developer proposes an on-site stormwater management system that does not connect to the municipal stormwater system.
I believe that's correct.
directly, does not have a direct connection to the municipal stormwater system. If you want to go into the definite, not a definition, but if you want to go into a slight description about an on-site rain garden is proposed with an emergency overflow that will drain into the public road known as Concord Street.
I don't think they're gonna allow that. The overflow to go into the street.
Dave Taylor's gonna have to say something.
Well, that one's up to our engineer.
We didn't get anything from him stating that that was a bad thing. Can you look at the plans again?
We're just gonna take it out. We're just gonna say it doesn't connect.
Mhm.
Yeah, that just, that doesn't connect.
Yeah, there's no direct connection. There might, in the 100-year storm, there might be a bypass, there might be a little bit that goes out onto Concord Street and that gets picked up by the catch basins that you see, I guess to the north on Concord Street.
There's one on
But
either
that's not a
side.
direct connection.
I think we just make it simple. The developer proposes an on-site stormwater management system that includes on-site treatment, detention, and/or infiltration that does not connect to the town's municipal stormwater system. Leave it blank.
I think if you
Yeah.
leave it there and then in the final review that Pat's gonna have to look at, we're gonna have to highlight this thing. We're definitely gonna have to have him review this because it definitely has, and it's called out right here, proposed grass filter strip vegetated swale. It feels like, again, I feel like that's an overflow that's going into here because.
No, my understanding of that is water flows from the driveway through this, that vegetated swale.
Oh, look at this pea stone diaphragm. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I see what's going on there.
This is pre-treatment, so water flows into the rain garden
Okay,
from the driveway. I mean, Pat and I talked about this way back when.
cool, all
And
right.
so that's not an overflow, that's a conveyance. That's not an overflow from the rain garden to the street or to the driveway. That's a conveyance.
That's picking up everything from these catch basins from elevation 92 going through to elevation 91, 90.4 right there. Okay, that makes more sense. The way Attorney Galvin has it written works.
Right.
All right.
Sorry, what? Say,
But it's basically what's happening here. Make sure make sure that everybody understands it. What's happening in here is this rain garden area is picking up drainage that's coming from this elevation 92, that basically the water that doesn't get to these catch basins, right? This is a high point and then it goes down into the road. All right. So any water that doesn't make it into these catch basins is going to go down because you've got this grade line going like this. It's forcing everything to go this way. It's
Right.
forcing everything to go this way. And it's supposed to pick up the water here, flow down here because you got 4/10 of a foot between the high point here to the high point of the rain garden. It's supposed to be in here, and then it's supposed to fill up to some degree to elevation 89.4. No, actually, it's not even supposed to do that because the bottom of it's 89.2, but the pipe is going to be at 89.4. So there's, call it 2.5 inches worth of water that's supposed to sit in here before it drains into here. It enters the pipe at 89.4 and then gets into this drainage system, which you doesn't have the, it's gonna be in there if it's coming out at, if it's coming, going into the pipe, or yeah, coming out of the rain garden at 89.4, it's gotta be less than 89.4. So it's gonna be somewhere in here. Oh, that's less than that, that's less than that, that's the stone chamber. Greg, I know you've looked at all this, so I'm not worried about it.
The only reason I threw up a flag is you said Attorney Galvin has it right. And I wasn't sure if you meant with his revision, taking the town part out of it, or you're saying he had it right and it is connected to municipal.
No, it's definitely not connected to the municipal stuff.
Okay, the revision is correct.
Rock and roll.
All right, we're good to go.
This is why we do this, guys. Don't ever apologize for anything. This is why we do this. Stormwater system check for the Department of Wild Development. Okay, we're gonna work with this, that we've already discussed that. Local conditions, public health and public safety. The act follows community project, local health concern, but conditions might be reasonable condition. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yep.
Vote of the board.
Boilerplate.
Whoa!
Boilerplate.
Okay, conditions, now we're here. All right, now we're here. Project shall be constructed in accordance with the plans referencing any deviate, that's boilerplate. Comprehensive permit is based upon a project,
Yep.
as long as the date's correct, that's boilerplate. To the extent permitted by state, hold on. The remnants of the former single-family homeland serves, okay. The extent permitted by the state following reference shall be incorporated in the project residence approved by boilerplate. The developer has represented to the board that there will be no earth removal from the property based on its analysis of the project site, but rather some filling of the property.
Well, he said that, some.
Okay, some, they say it's some. To the extent there, some filling of the property, to the extent there is any trucking of materials, it shall be subject to there we go. Development may only engage in any trucking or hauling activities between that Monday through Friday. Are we happy with those times, gentlemen?
Yep. 40
Between
limit.
8
Yep.
and 3:30 on Saturdays. Again, we're happy with those times.
Yep.
So this
Sure.
was, just so you know, this was a standard condition coming from another town that was trying to keep trucking and hauling activities off streets during school bus hours and late afternoons on a Saturday.
That's exactly what we were trying to do the first time that we talked about this.
Yep.
And
no more than 40.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah,
6:30 PM, that's in the dark, during the winter.
Whatever you want.
If you allow trucking it from 3:30 to 6:30,
Whether you want to say 4:30 is dark in the wintertime, so.
well, make it 4:30.
may only engage in.
Don't put a time, just put
Dusk.
upon, no, you can't put upon dusk.
That's
Oh.
9 o'clock in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
So,
Well, you
Say
could
5
say
o'clock.
6:30 PM or dusk, whichever is dark sooner.
whichever is earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
But I thought we
All right.
put the hours for them to work until 6 o'clock during the week and 3 o'clock on Saturday.
It is. No construction activities
Right.
after 6 or 3.
All right. So we'll limit that to, we'll say 6. and 8
Elsewhere,
a.m.
it does say no heavy equipment, trucking and hauling operating on the site after 5 on any day in any case.
Got no problem with that.
It's
Well,
the
hold on a minute.
condition-
I have no clue where that would go. We have
That's
another,
That's in 22. That's the conditions relating to construction, number 22.
okay.
How are we defining heavy equipment?
It says including trucking and hauling equipment.
All right. I gotta zip through to my 22 now.
question?
Yeah, whoa, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a puppy dog in my studio here, and he just
By
scared
the
the
way,
crap out of me.
my draft had multiple conditions 21, so the numbering's gonna be off by one.
Oh, this is in the conditions related to construction section.
Yeah, I
number
saw it.
22. Okay, good.
Hey, zoning
So-
board, say hi to Hugo. How you doing?
Aw.
There you go.
So Tim, I'm now at the former 22. What do you want me to say here?
Oh, no, I was saying that the times listed here contradict the other times, so maybe we want to update our
Well,
hauling.
the other one is trucking and hauling. This is construction activities.
The last sentence says no heavy equipment, including trucking and hauling equipment, shall operate on the site after 5 p.m. on any day. So maybe we should make the cutoff, instead of making it 6:30 for hauling, just make it 5 o'clock and make it consistent.
So you want me to go back to the other condition and make it 5 o'clock?
Make it 5 o'clock.
And that's 4A, the one that I got on my screen right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
And 2 o'clock on Saturdays.
You know, we gotta be careful putting so many restrictions on it that. Yeah, I mean, if these types of things don't get put on conventional subdivisions, it's never gonna survive here, so.
Yep. Our other Saturday construction activities are 3 p.m.
We'll make it 3 p.m.
Yep. So just make
All
it.
right, so this becomes
it
becomes
consistent.
3 p.m. And this becomes 6 p.m. or 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
I changed
Okay.
it to 5 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Everything else is good
And-
here.
and 3 p.m. on Saturday.
Correct. I changed it for that too.
All right. So that's good there. The applicant shall be limited to more than 40 trucking or hauling trips per day through the town of Rockland. If we think that's fine,
Seems okay.
I mean, that's like, over that period of time, it's like 2 or 3 trucks in an hour.
what we say 40, yeah, I'm trying to do the math. 40 trucks, we said the 40 trucks hold 22 yards.
Well, it depends on whether it's an 18-wheeler or a 10-wheeler. So,
True.
A trailer will hold 28 yards.
All right, so let's call it 28 yards. We said there was
don't
227.
try to figure it out. Just limit the truck trips. You
40,
be
2
here
an
for
hour.
hours.
That's-
All right, as long as we're cool with that, compliance with state and federal requirements,
I
project.
I have a
construction-
question on that.
Yeah.
Does that have to be run by Lieutenant Zioli? Because doesn't that come under his jurisdiction?
No, we have to make this condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because in the end, he's gonna tell them what direction they have to go, they have to come and go by.
And if they need a detail.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Compliance with state and federal requirements, project and all construction, single family utilities, road drain center shall be related to purchasing with respect to cost, shall comply with all applicable state and federal boilerplate, I think.
Yep, agreed.
Approval to project shall comply with all rules, regulated permit, flying, boilerplate. Compliance with
All the way
local-
down to D, just substitute. I don't know if we need to leave any wetland stuff in there, but certainly not Marshfield.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's where it came from.
Good catch. All right, so this is boilerplate, development project shall comply with the Rockland zoning bylaw. Wait a second, development of project including construction of all dwelling units, utilities, road, drainage structures, and all of it shall comply with this. How can we say that other than as waived by this comprehensive permit?
I actually think you should take this out because it's not relevant.
Okay. So this is good. That can go. Development of the project including utilities shall comply with the Rockland that can go. The Rockland Sewer Commission order rules. The Rockland Sewer Commission orders, rules, and regulations governing sewage disposal into the municipal sewer system. So compliance with local requirements, that they gotta comply with. Except as waived by this remand decision or a decision of the, obviously, so that can go because that's not relevant. Other than the lighting poles, no other street lights or other street illumination shall be constructed or installed.
There we go.
Yeah, no, that's right, right? Because
We've got street poles.
we have no street poles, but we have the lighting poles out in front of
Yeah.
the houses, so that can stay. Total number of single-family apartments shall not exceed 4. All dwelling units shall be used and offered for fee simple sales purposes only. No dwelling unit shall at any time be made available for sale in time proportional ownership of any. Can I get a
It means
definition of
it's
that?
not gonna be timeshare units.
Oh, okay. Not less than 25, okay, affordable units, not less than 25 total number. 25, no fewer than 1 shall be affordable, and this decision shall be referred to as the affordable unit. We can't just call it the cheap one.
Nice.
I wouldn't if I was you.
The affordable unit shall be distinguishable in architectural type, that's correct. The affordable unit shall be sold with a deed rider, we already know that, that's correct. Developer representative board, the project constructed with condominium form of ownership with the single family, with the single family condominium being constructed property that will own the developer and converted into a condominium, which we said that, yep. The applicant shall establish a unit owners association, a condominium association, to maintain and repair all common areas, including stormwater management, landscape streets, sightline easements and other improvements when the documents establishing the condominium shall be set forth obligations, condominium of operation, maintenance, site access, drive, emergency turnaround via the stormwater management, prior to the issuance of any building permit, the developer shall provide the documents establishing condominium association. This is all kind of boilerplate for a condominium setup.
So you get to A, 16A.
Okay.
Rob, on that condo association,
Yep.
should we also put down there that they have to furnish the name and phone number of the person responsible for any problems on the property?
It's in another section.
Perfect.
Okay.
Condominium association shall contain the following terms and conditions: specific plan to maintain stormwater management system and sewerage connection to the municipal sewer. Tim, did you have an issue here?
Oh, I was just gonna say, these are the ones we just want to make sure of the things we want them to maintain here. So my only comment in these things is that we did have some conversations with the developer and amongst ourselves about making sure that they maintain the landscaping. And we had some concerns about like the snow, just the snow knocking over the trees and the fences and the stuff. But I think in here, we just want to make sure that they include maintaining the landscaping, as it was installed.
I added it to B, landscaped areas.
Excellent.
All right. Condominium association shall also contain the following terms and conditions. We've got a stormwater management plan. We've got the landscaping, maintain access drive, turnaround area, including that, a specific easement to maintain all water infrastructure.
Yeah, so what we typically like to do is get an easement from the property owner so that the water department can shut it off if there's a problem or do something,
All right. No, the specific easement to the water department then. So that makes sense. The other thing, and Tim highlighted, Tim,
in case there's a backup there, the sewer department would have to get on the property to.
he's right. So there would have to be, there is gonna have to be some sort of sewer easement. If the town is going, well, that's the question. Is the town going to take control of the sewer after
So,
it crosses the street.
There's
line.
another provision in this agreement that gives the town the right but not the obligation to enter the property and fix anything in the event of an emergency and charge them for that cost.
Rock and roll. That's perfect. Tim highlighted this, the snow storage. Do we have to talk about snow storage? And if it gets too much, they have to truck it off?
It's listed in here, snow removal. Specific
Oh, yeah.
plan to maintain
Perfect.
snow
All right.
removal.
So
Do we want to see an agreement with a company like we have on the other one?
Well,
There's snow management.
I don't think we want to get into that level of detail because once you start doing this, I mean, the best part about this development, if there's any good thing, is the fact that it's a condominium. And anybody that doesn't pay their fair share into the association can be liened and their unit can be sold to pay that lien. So it's really kind of an optimum way to own it and manage it.
Town of Rockland shall not have any legal financial responsibility for operation and maintenance of driveways, parking, stormwater, sewer, landscaping, trash disposal, or pickup, lighting, or other removal, provided, however, the town of Rockland shall have the right, but not, this is what he was talking about. All right, I like that. No single family car shall be part of the project, should be sold, advertised, or offered for sale until the development is entered into a monitoring services agreement. We talked about this. Okay. Conditions precedent to commencement of project, conditions below, conditions precedent, in particular without limitation to site grading, tree, okay. The developer has submitted final detailed construction plans, including driveway and utility plans. No, he hasn't. And is this assuming that he's going to? Because he hasn't submitted them as of yet.
Well, they're probably not sufficient for him to get a building permit. So,
Oh, wait a second. So I didn't finish reading. To ensure that the board's peer review consultants ensure that the final plans are consistent with the permit and approvals of the Conservation Commission. You can get Conservation Commission out of
I'll
there.
take that.
Board of Health, I don't think they have anything to really do with this because there's no Title V stuff, but I don't know if you want to put in Board of Health. 'cause they
No,
haven't
we'll
been-
take it out.
With local building and approvals with the requirements not otherwise approved or waived in this permit, and with the state and federal codes, copies, what's wrong? Okay. State and lower federal codes, copies of the final approved plans along with the proof of recording at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds should also be filed with the board and building department for the record keeping purposes. Development must secure all such approvals. I got really no problem with anything until other than what we've already talked about.
What about trash collection? Would that fall under the jurisdiction of the Board of Health or?
Technically, yeah, it would.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to, even through construction, they're gonna have to, keep the site relatively clean of,
There's a condition that requires that, Greg.
okay,
There is a condition that requires them to keep it neat and clean, free of debris and stuff like that.
yeah. Because sometimes, you get a canteen truck and, the crew has lunch and they just kind of leave the wrappings and whatnot. But if that's all covered, that's fine by me.
I think we should leave the Board of Health in there for the purpose of trash pickup.
Because then, according to Board of Health, to waive that, they need something in writing from another company that says they're gonna pick it up.
That's up to the condo association, the Board of Health.
Right.
But we could still leave that in there for Board of Health
Yeah.
or rubbish disposal.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of, regardless of who collects the trash, I've heard of nightmares where, they weren't paying their trash collection fee and people would just dump the trash bucket
Mhm.
in their backyard or over the fence or, that type of thing.
All right, so leave Board of Health in.
So I'll put Board of Health, I took it out of mine, but I'll put it back in, including the Board of Health as to trash disposal.
Fine.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
we're covered. That's fine.
All right, the final plan shall include regulatory review by the building board. Okay. Deed rider similar to the form that published by Mass Highway, but no decision approved by, has been executed by the developer. Yep. Monitoring agreement from the town about to do. Decision has been executed by the applicant. These are all the things that he has to provide. A regulatory agreement similar in form to that published by Mass Highway, but reviewed to do, subject to the terms and conditions of the decision, have been executed, blah, blah. Okay, the developer has obtained and submitted to the board when obtained all necessary approvals from all local, state, and has obtained and submitted to the board when obtained all necessary approvals from all local, state, and federal agencies, departments, or commissions pertaining to this project, including the applicant. Okay. Developer submitted to the board and the board's peer review consultant for final review and final acknowledgement of consistency with this decision. Final and detailed site development plans, including stormwater management plans, set forth. Rockland is improvements in accordance with the standards set forth. We're not looking at the subdivision rules and regs, are we? Because the start, or no, actually, no, we are. And the subdivision and improvements in accordance with the standards set forth in the Rockland subdivision rules and regulations, not waived by this decision. Okay, I can live with that. And with DEP's stormwater management standards, policy, and handbooks to the detail required for use as on-site construction drawings. These plans and improvements shall address, I'm fine with the rest of that. I like this too, specifically, erosion impact on the abutting properties. Shall be included with the final design submittal. Construction details about proposed infrastructure. Yep. We like all that. We like all this. We like all that. We like all that. I don't know if we have a sediment and erosion control plan. I don't think we've ever seen one, but
Needs to be in the final design submittal.
gonna have to be, it's, yeah, they're gonna have to protect anything that's going in the road. Or anything that could go in the road. Test hole data with locations of holes shown on the plans. They did test pits. I remember seeing the test pits. So yeah, that's needed. Proposed profiles showing road, driveway, drain pipe, and sewer elevations. Did they give that to us? Did they do that?
These are the items that have to be included with the final design submittal.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I just want to see if they did it in first, because typically that's something that's only required when there's an actual roadway. It's not necessarily required when it's just a driveway, but it's still kind of a roadway. So yeah, I can see that. Okay. All right, proposed profiles showing road, driveway, drain pipes and sewer elevations, drain pipe and culvert sizing calculations. We have no culvert. Construction period and post-construction stormwater system up. Yep, we like that. Final and detailed landscaping improvements and plans prepared by a registered landscaper have been submitted to the board's peer review consultant for review and approval, including acknowledgement of the consistency with the decision. Such plans shall provide for shade trees, blah, 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 okay, and shrubs and maturity, as well as the installation, here we go, of a perimeter fence at the perimeter of the abutting residential properties. So, where do we want the fences? I personally want a fence going all the way around the sidelines. I want it blocked off from the golf course. And if you don't block it off from the golf course, you're basically allowing any kids that live in the neighborhood to go play on the golf course. You know that. I don't know if that's such a great thing. Because all of a sudden, kids are going to be out there, they're going to be doing their thing, and a ball's going to come through and it's going to clock them in the head. Then there's an issue. I don't know if I don't know what to do.
I'm of the mind, well, from our discussions already, with the developer, I have no problem with the developer not adding any fences. The one concession he made was that they would put something in their condo docks, to sort of help maintain and deal with the neighboring fences. But I can't get my head around having two back-to-back fences. And I can't see any real advantage to putting up fences to the golf course. That's sort of, to me, that's the golf course's problem. They haven't put it up against other people's properties. They certainly don't have to put it up against this one.
I've been back there, and most every property back there does have their own fence that fences off the golf course. They actually do.
But there was that family that had that sued because they kept getting pelted with golf balls. So I could certainly understand why someone would want it.
It was my case.
No.
Nice.
That was all over the news.
Yes, in 5 countries too.
Nice.
You did not get enough FaceTime, the articles that I was reading.
So I don't know, again, I know what I want. Mr. Baker Senior has talked about a fence on the right-hand side because that fence is substantially into the next door neighbor's property.
How do you maintain space between fences? I mean, what do you do with that?
Yeah, if there's only 6 inches between the fences, what do you do then?
Nothing. That condition exists everywhere. It exists
So
absolutely everywhere.
let's get a sense of the board as to what you want me to do with this condition so we can get to the rest of it.
Again, everybody knows I've voiced my opinion.
So
You guys
take a
talk
vote.
about it.
Someone make a motion.
Well, before any motion, and I'm probably going to further confuse the issue.
Right when you can hear the motion.
But I'm
There we
in
go.
favor. I'm in favor of the sides, not the rear.
I'll make a motion to have the fence put on the right side of the property.
That's 2
The
motions.
left side is fine because it's already shielded by the property owner on that side.
But so is the right side. The right side also has a fence. That's
But it's
shielded.
on there, it's it's 2 feet away from the property line.
Okay, and on the left side, it's 6 inches onto their property line. Over the property line. So it's on their property.
But it only goes halfway up too, or halfway out.
Because if you're talking about halfway down to the road, yes, that's correct. If you're talking about going towards the back, it's because they don't own the property all the
Right.
way to the back. It's the golf course. So again, I'm with the 2 motions as is. I can't be in favor of either one of them. So it is what it is. It's like I
Yeah,
said.
just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, mine wasn't a motion. It was just stating my preference.
Okay.
I would find it much strong. I'm just to throw out an example. The fence which was my next door neighbor's blew down in a storm, and I paid for half of a new fence. I paid for more than half of a new fence. But it seems like the notion of having the condo docks and the condo having to have some sort of either put up a fence if the neighbors don't have it, or work with the neighbors, to maintain a fence. I think the important thing is that there is fencing between there. But if they have, if the condo association, if there is a fence and the neighbors are there, if it needs repairs, that they split the expenses, I would much rather have one fence, at, each property sideline.
I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate that. So who's got a motion? I'm waiting for a motion. I'm waiting for this in the form of a motion.
I move we eliminate the requirement for an installation of a perimeter fence.
I got a motion. What do we got for a second? No second. So we're at a stalemate, gentlemen.
Let's go one at a time. How about a fence on the boundary line with 330 Concord Street, which was what Mr. Baker Senior's motion was.
Right.
Is there a second for that one?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Got a second. All right.
330 is the house on the right?
On the right. Yeah.
Yes.
What about extending the existing fence there's an existing fence on the left, right? Correct?
We pull up the site plan so everybody can see what we're talking about, just to make sure everybody's clear. Normal. There's the existing conditions. Actually, this all. Yeah. Come on. Windows 10 and it's working with PDFs. This sucks. All right. All right. So as we're looking at it, this is left, this is right. On the right side, the fence doesn't even start until you're about halfway into the property. All right, that's number one. Number
It's not even
two,
on their property.
that's my point. It's 2 feet on 2 feet and change onto 330 Concord Street. So you got that. It goes all the way up to the end. On the other side, based on what I see here, again, if this is the start of the fence, let me just get to the existing conditions plan. Hold on. Oh,
It looks like the
there we go.
fence is on both sides already.
All right, so they've got, this one's got a fence, this 308 has a fence starting a third of the way up the property line. It looks to be, from what I can tell, from what I can gather, it's favoring this side, so it looks like it's a port, mostly on this side, but it could be splitting the property line at this point. So it starts about a third of the way up the property line and actually goes over the lot line into the golf course. That's all the fencing that's there. So now that we're looking at it, now that everybody sees what's actually existing, if we had a motion, let's restate the motion and see what happens. Who made the motion?
That was Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker, restate your motion, please.
I made a motion to put the fence on the right side of the property.
Starting where?
Oh. Starting at the,
Here?
10 feet back from the street
10 feet back from the street
Yep.
to the
along
property,
the
to the end
common
of the
boundary
property.
line.
Along the common boundary line between 320 and 330, extending all the way to the property corner, the rear property corner.
Yes,
Okay. And that's the end of the motion, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay, so I got a motion.
I'll second that.
I need a second. I got a second there. Roll call. Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes,
and myself is an absolute no. So it
It's
passes.
passed.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so that's what's going to be required when it comes to fence.
But, well, I think we should talk about, let's make a motion to add some fencing to the left side of the property. I would make a motion to require the developer to complete that fence, to make a fence from 10 feet from the front to the existing fence. And at the rear of the property line, from the existing fence on this property to
Yep.
the rear of the property line.
Okay, so that's gonna be a second motion. We're gonna allow that, this is fine. So I got another motion which deals with the left-hand side. So we've taken care of the right-hand side. I've got a motion to basically complete the fencing on the run, on the left-hand side. I got a motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
I got a second all over the place. Roll call. Mr. Baker, Junior,
Yes.
Yes,
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes,
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yeah.
Senior.
yes,
This one, I'm gonna say yes, because I was under the assumption that the initial, that Mr. Baker Senior's motion was only to do it on that side, and that's technically what it was. Mr. Haynes came in with a second motion to deal with the backside, to deal with the right side, the left side. I'm happy with that. So now we've got a fence, we've got a fence on the left, on the fence on the right, that the applicant is responsible for, and the homeowners association will be responsible for maintaining. Everybody happy?
yeah.
Okay,
So it's only for the section to complete the fence, right?
yep, on the left-hand side,
That's 308 Concord Street, I think.
308 Concord Street.
Okay, I got that in.
Dr. Ted, I can't even remember where we left off here. Shade trees along, oh, that's right.
It was
And
Jim.
so we've made that work for G. Documentation including covering, restricting the land noted on the above noted plans identified as open space. There is no open space.
Well, it's common area.
Okay, so restricting the land noted on the above noted plans identified as common area has been submitted to the board for review and approval under land use council. Said easements, okay, so this is where it gets weird because condominiums with the site plans, this is where you would designate common areas versus exclusive use easements. Correct, Attorney Galvin?
Yeah.
Okay, so should we state this on that documentation, deed restrictions, and connection with the trust restricting the land noted on the above noted plans identified as common area, exclusive use easements. Yeah, common area and exclusive use easements has been submitted to the board for review and approval. Said easements to be shown on the site plan and covenants and deed restrictions to be noted on the final site development plans. And again, it's basically a condo site plan. Not required in the state of Massachusetts, but is the best way to show where your exclusive use easements are and your common areas are on the ground. So I don't know how to say this. Because I like what's going on here, but I don't know if you put in a H1 that
I got
condominium
an
site
idea.
plan.
So what we should do is just have these common areas and exclusive use areas submitted to Pat Brennan for review and approval by me.
And I'd like to see that on a condominium site plan to be recorded.
Yeah, it'll
With the
be on the
registry
final
deeds.
site plans.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily get recorded.
The final site development plans have to be recorded.
Okay, all right, if that's the case, and.
You'll see it,
in-
you'll see it in a condition that I put.
All right, if that's the case, the big thing is that they should, the condominium site plan that shows all these easements should be called for in the master deed. I mean, not just the site development plans, the site plan itself. I'm just thinking, again,
It'll be in the master deed too.
all right, as long as it's in the master deed, I'm thinking from the other side of the table, the surveyor that's coming in that has to deal with, somebody that complaining about they don't know where their exclusive use easements actually are on the ground. And I'm gonna have to figure that out, which I've had to do several times. So I'm just trying to make it simple for the other guy. A detailed plan showing walkways, landscape improvements, open areas, limited construction activity, edge of clearing, sedimentary erosion, etc. Construction staging storage area has been submitted to the building commissioner to verify that such plan conforms with the decision. The removal of trees, shrubs, and natural ground cover on the site shall be minimized for Fields boilerplate. Operation maintenance plan has been submitted for review. Fields boilerplate. Condominium association shall bind the developer's project. Fields boilerplate. Construction schedule identifying the sequence of the project boilerplate. Identification of all contractors, field engineers, and other professionals that will be involved in the implementation of the project. I like that. Staking driveway. Ooh, here we go. Staking driveways, septic systems, dwelling foundations, auxiliary buildings, parking areas, drainage basins, and other drainage structures and well located. Placement of set. I like this. All right.
Well, septic systems, isn't that, don't we
Oh, yeah,
think-
that's not a part of it.
Yeah,
All right, septic systems can come out.
you could say sewer systems, sewer layouts or something like that, sanitary layouts if you want to.
Sewer components,
Huh?
sewer components,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
All right, so staking driveways, sewer components, dwelling foundations, auxiliary buildings. We have no auxiliary buildings. Parking areas, drainage basins, and other drainage structures and well locations. We can get those out because we're not dealing with wells either. Placement of sediment, and okay, that's good. Removal of vegetate, yep, that's good. Water, sewage, and drainage system construction, and major stages of access and driveway construction. And this is all that, and they want to know these people that are doing this. Okay. The developer has provided to the board and its land use council for review and approval, and upon such approval as recorded deed restrictions requiring the site to enter to intersection, requiring at the site entrance and intersection clear site distance that is shown on the site plan in either direction to the extent on land owned by the developer, and requiring also that the grading, clearing, and boilerplate. That's the way I see it. The applicant has received all necessary approvals from the town of Rockland to access the. No, he hasn't. Am I reading this wrong?
Still a condition of something else happening.
Okay, yeah,
It's not-
okay,
It's not stating. That's
okay,
just-
cool. Does it, you understand my concern? A pre-construction meeting shall, okay, coordinate and manage the building commissioner board with the developer and its project managers and represent, okay, that's fine. Conditions precedent to issuance of building permit, no later than the date on which the first request for a building permit before the building permit is filed, the applicant shall file with the building commissioner and or board's peer review consultant for review and for consistency with the decision. Bam, here we go. Long-term property management plan in the form of acceptable to board peer review consultants for the entire development and purpose of the department management to ensure the developer has developed a sound and long-term strategy to ensure that the property remains viable, attractive, and safe to the purchasers living within the project and the town of Rockland in general. The board requires that the property management plan identify at a minimum who the day-to-day responsible parties will be in case of, this is what Mr. Baker Senior was talking about. An event of emergency, including but not limited to fire or flood, and plans and contingencies for day-to-day and period. That's what Mr. Baker Senior was talking about. It's there. Conditions precedent to building construction, for instance, prior to the start of construction of the road. Okay.
I wasn't sure about this one.
For any single-family condominium home unit, for any single-family condominium home unit of the project, prior to the start of construction of any building, roads to and within the project will have at least the first course of pavement. So it's going to be the driveway, the common access driveway. Is that what we were calling it?
Mm-hmm.
Common access driveway within the project will have at least the first course of pavement, the binder course. All hydrants in the project will be operational. Street lights. Basically, this is just saying that the driveway has to be in before he starts building any of the homes. Am I reading that right? Attorney Galvin?
Yes, it just says the driveway serving the project will have at least the first course of pavement. Any hydrants in the project will be operational.
Yep.
Street signs or,
And house numbers.
Yep. will be, and that's typical, to avoid, street signs will be placed.
I forget, are they proposing a hydrant, a new hydrant? Or a rehab of an existing?
It was rehab of an existing in the front. They were taking one that was in here and they were gonna move it someplace.
Okay, yeah, all right, good.
Uh,
The hydrant should stay. Yep, that's all I
Yeah, but
need.
well, there was another, I thought they were gonna put a hydrant at the, yeah, see.
All right, here it is. Yeah, there is. Yep,
Yeah,
So, we're
Okay.
good, so I think we're good
yep,
there.
all hydrants.
Fire building, project will be off, street signs will be in place and house numbers. I don't think there is no street signs because it's not a street.
right.
It would be
So-
parking signs.
There we go, very nice, good catch, will be in
Well,
place.
I don't know. Do you really care if they have a parking sign there when the thing is under construction?
They're only
not-
gonna-
They won't be able to because they won't be able to get in and out.
Yeah, I thought we were only like asking them to make that like temporary construction driveway to like start building, but I mean, I'm fine with this if this is the way we go. We just talked.
Well, I
about
don't really, I mean, that's a good question. I think you raised, Tim. Do we care whether they have a paved way when they start building? We do in a subdivision, but we may not on a condo.
it didn't seem like we would want them trucking in stuff over the galleys and the things that are under the driveway. It just, I wasn't
Well,
sure.
why
about
don't
the
you say the
sequence.
driveway serving the project will have been roughed in or something like that?
So, yeah.
They're gonna have no choice. This is one of the issues with the site this small. They're gonna have absolutely no choice but to continually drive heavy trucks over this drainage system. It's the only way that it's gonna work. You know, I kind of like this because at least it gives them the opportunity to get everything in and right the first time. And then from there, if it comes down to heavy trucks sitting on the drainage system, prior to any of these houses getting built, if while the foundation is being built, all of a sudden said heavy truck collapses into the drainage system, they are gonna all of a sudden realize that, wow, this didn't work. So I kind of like this. I kind of like this because no matter what happens, the only way to avoid having anything happen to the drainage system under the driveway is to have them build the houses first. You put the foundations in the ground, you get that all taken care of, you grade all the way around and get it up to the grade that you want to get it to. And then from there, once you get that done, then you start building the infrastructure from the boundaries in, end off with the drainage system, and then pave everything. Now you don't have to worry about giant trucks. All you're going to worry about is, like giant trucks and heavy equipment. All you're going to be dealing with is vans and pickup trucks, which that's fine. And again, the drainage system under the driveway, I'm sure it's designed to be able to handle everything. Mr. Tanzi would have picked that up if it wasn't. Pat Brennan would have picked it up if it wasn't. But in reality, if this happens, they're going to find out right quick if they build the driveway first. Construction sequencing is going to be major on this. And and again, it was Mr. Baker Sr. that said this. There's no room to move around out there. So however we want to say that, if we want to take this out, that's cool. I just think that it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how they make this work. So I think this limits the construction. I think if you do this, it limits their ability to kind of zig and zag and make things work and work from the outside in. But on the flip side, I do like the fact that the driveway gets built first, because in the end, it's going to make a cleaner system for everybody, because anybody after that is only going to be driving on the driveway.
Rob, you just had like an entire debate of all sides all to yourself.
I know that. Unfortunately, I have the worst problem with seeing both sides of the coin all the time. This has been a problem since I was a kid. So I don't know how to go here.
I
don't
would
know.
prefer
how
not
to-
to tie their hands. I mean, that was my, but more importantly, I thought we had already discussed this and we were just having them do an access drive, and Greg had given us dimensions on it and
Yeah,
said
50,
how far.
50-foot crushed stone, they call it, Greg, what do they call it again?
A stabilized construction entrance.
If that's all this is talking about, then just put it in there that way. If that's all that we're trying to get across in this, if that's all that it is, then that's it.
If they have to, they can put steel plates over the pavement with the drainages.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it is true, but that's the, again, it's not our,
If I was building it, I would put the steel plates there just to be on the safe side.
oh, yeah, no, I agree with you, but again, it's not our, and I forget this, it's not our responsibility to design this or tell them how to build it. You know, it's our job to regulate it. Conditions relating to construction. All single-family condominium homes shall be built by the developer or successors and assigned to the employment of contractors, some over which it will exercise general supervision and control in accordance with the regulatory. Yep. It is the intention of the board that the construction of the entire project authorized, yep, shall be under supervision and control of the applicant's successors during construction, the name and mobile telephone number of the site manager or clerk of the works employed. Yep, that's boilerplate. During construction, the developer and its agents, employees shall conform to all local state. Okay, this is our times. We're good here. We did coordinate with that. I know Tim was highlighting this number 22. So all these times are coordinated.
They are now.
Okay. Equipment shall operate on site after 5. No heavy equipment, including trucking and hauling equipment, shall operate on the site after 5 p.m. Ms. Boyd, do you see that? Okay, I'm just wanting to thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate that. The developer shall submit to the building department for review and final acknowledgement of consistency with this decision. Final and detailed scaled architectural drawings for the structures and approved by the blah, blah, blah. That is boilerplate. Development shall be designed to retain, reflect, and the development shall be designed to retain and reflect the architectural character of Rockland and to provide a diversity.
I love this one.
Yeah, right.
Or to provide a diversity of dwelling unit types.
Doesn't that
And
make you feel
prices.
good? Doesn't that make you feel good?
Oh, that's so nice. I love that one. Exterior materials and trim elements shall be wood, vinyl, or an alternative material approved by the building commission. The theme shall, exterior materials and trim elements shall be wood, vinyl, or an alternative material approved by the zoning board.
Yeah, see, the problem is you can't reserve to yourselves the right to make a further decision that would negate the project.
I dig it. All right, so we'll leave it in there as building commissioner. The theme shall include descriptions of exterior buildings, materials, architectural design, street furniture, fencing,
You don't
yeah,
need
that can
street
go.
furniture.
And a statement of the means of assuring that the affordable dwelling units are compatible with the design theme and are indistinguishable in architectural style and finished materials from the market rate units.
I got a
That's
question.
not bad. Yes.
Just curious, in the first sentence,
Mhm.
was to provide a diversity of dwelling unit types.
That's why we were laughing.
I was just saying, yeah, well, does that contradict with the indistinguishable in architectural style?
Shall reflect the architectural characteristics of Rockland and provide a diversity of dwelling unit types and prices. Where, and you said it was conflicting with.
The last sentence,
What
portable
is it?
unit would be indistinguishable in architectural style and finished materials.
Yeah,
Doesn't that
basically that.
Doesn't that negate diversity, or am I misunderstanding the use
No,
of
basically,
diversity?
the way I read this, what they're saying is, and I said this before, I made this joke. The affordable unit,
Yeah,
if it's vinyl sided, the other 3 non-affordable units
Yeah.
can't be brick or clapboards, actual wood clapboards.
right, but the first sentence says Doesn't it tell the
No.
development to provide a diversity of dwelling unit types?
Steve, I think you might be misreading the last sentence. The last sentence is intended to make sure that the affordable unit doesn't get the short stick in terms of the architectural design materials.
But what does it mean in the first sentence? To provide a diversity of dwelling
It
unit
just
types?
means like the design of these units in general should be diverse.
Oh, I see. So they're not going to be identical with the
Well, it
exact.
doesn't
thing.
look like any of the other single-family homes in the neighborhood.
Right.
Okay, so the 4 units will look different than the other units in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 units will look generally identical. They'll match. They'll be like a family wearing the same sweatshirt to the theme park.
Yeah, kind of, but they'll be diverse as compared to all the other houses in the general, the general vicinity of the house.
Okay, so
Of
diversity,
the project.
diversity is a relationship to the neighborhood, not to within the.
Diversity is in relation to the whole town, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I mean. I want to make sure it wasn't within the project.
No, that's fine. That's fine because the first 3 units are going to look identical, and the last unit, which is probably going to be the affordable because it's smaller and it's
Yeah.
at the back of the project, is going to be a little bit smaller and it's going to look a little bit different than the first 3 units. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. That's how he's designed it at this point, but in the end, the trim level is probably going to be identical all the way through. The developer shall provide soil examination testing as needed, soil testing for stormwater management. Yep. Stormwater managers meet the design requirements of the stormwater handbook. Yep. Driveway and design plans and construction details have been provided for approval. The board said to do. Other words said, design construction requirements of planning board, subject, yep, and board's period, yep. All rating and pertinent work shall be described in complete detail to readily enable peer review, project monitoring, inspection, and construction. A note has been placed on each pertinent sheet of the plan stating that the project is the subject of a comprehensive permit under that the roads and ways within this is where we're going to differ. In some cases may, in other cases may not conform to the projects. Again,
It's
what are we calling
driveway.
it?
It should be the driveway.
All right, let's make sure that that's common access driveway. That's what we're calling it. Make sure that it says common access driveway. That way we differ from the regular driveways. In some cases may, and in other cases not conform to the standards and requirements of the Rockland subdivision rules and regulations. That's fine. Utilities, all water, sewer, electric cable, telephone use shall be underground. Now, sewer line's going to be over the ground. Detailed calculations and updated computer modeling indicating fire flow projections at the minimum.
I didn't know whether you'd want this or not.
This is all fire. This is all fire related, correct?
I know, but I think that they've already done some demand analysis, but I didn't know whether you wanted it. This is what it looks like.
I've never read anything like this before. Just give me a second. Normal service pressure shall be a minimum of that. Available service pressure under peak water demand and fire flow conditions, including any additional development currently anticipated in the vicinity. Any additional development currently anticipated in the vicinity shall be demonstrated by use of the town's computerized hydraulic model. I'm assuming the town has a hydraulic model?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this for, this is fire flow for the hydrants only? Or are we
Correct.
indicating that he's gonna need a sprinkler system?
No, this is intended to make sure that you have enough to power up give you adequate fire protection.
Okay, so this is for the hydrants only.
I'm sure you do if there's a hydrant there in the street already.
Okay. I say keep it in there because they're adding they're adding a water main. All right, it's not just a service that they're dealing with. They're putting as far as I remember, they're putting a new main going up the road.
Yeah.
I don't see it here, but I'm gonna take the yup.
I believe it was a 6-inch.
Here's the main, connects here. Here's the main, connects here. Here's a common trench for the water and the gas, connects here. So it's a main going all the way up. Yeah, it's a main going all the way up and then bends off as a blow, probably just a blow off to the hydrant. All All right, I like how he's got it in there. I've never read this before. I've never seen this kind of condition before, but I like it. It's basically just making sure that there's enough water pressure to support the hydrants that he's putting in, basically. That's fine. I don't mind that. Water system design and construction shall meet the requirements, standards, and regulations of the YEP and the Massachusetts YEP. All stumps, brush, and other debris resulting from any clearing grading shall be removed from the locus. No stumps, debris shall be buried. Yup.
Yep.
The developer shall keep the project site clean. Of course, they will upon completion of the work. And prior to as-built plan approval, all debris and construction materials shall be removed and disposed of in accordance with state laws, regulations. The developer shall notify the board in writing of the final. The developer shall submit to the board a complete and detailed as-built final. Okay. Couple of things here. All of this is kind of boilerplate, but one of the things that I want to do, because we know that there's issues with the houses, the heights, some of the grading, things aren't really 100% locked in when it comes to all of this. And one of the things I've been asking for, I've been wanting to require was individual grading plans for each building as it's being built. That's one thing. That way, Tom Rubel can see the development as it's going on. I'm assuming he's not going to go in there and build all four at the same time. He's going to put in one foundation at a time. I'm assuming. So if that's the case, I want to see individual lot grading plans for each individual unit as the permits are requested, as a building permit is requested, basically as a foundation permit is requested. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to see a foundation as built required prior to framing. I'm not saying prior to backfilling, because typically towns require it prior to backfilling the foundation, which it's only going to be 4 feet in the ground anyway. But those are the two things that I'd like to see. If anybody has any issues with it, we can talk about it, absolutely. But from a administrative situation, knowing that there's grading issues, possible height issues, this, that, the other thing, I'd like to see individual lot grading plans provided to the building department prior to issuance of a building permit. That's number one. And number two, prior to the commencement of wood framing of these structures, a foundation as-built will be supplied or shall be supplied to the building department.
All right, so I'm completely lost.
I dig it. No, that's fine. Again, I want to know that each individual unit, when they're going in to develop this, each individual unit, it's absolutely in harmony with the unit just before it or just next to it.
So don't you just want a foundation plan before a building permit?
No, a foundation plan only is all that is a structural plan of the foundation. That's it. What I want is an individual lot graded, typically in a subdivision. Typically in a subdivision, the engineer would provide what's called a lot grading plan. All right.
This isn't a subdivision, this is a condo.
That's my thing. But knowing that there's grading issues, there's potential grading issues that we're having, I want to know that everything is taken into consideration. So it's either a final overall grading plan that they're going to live with from beginning until end, showing, again, everything that they've shown so far. I just know that grading is going to change. I'd like to see individual foundation grading plans. But if you don't think it's necessary, Bob, then I'll
Well, it
waive
shouldn't
that.
be in this section because this is just a general condition related to construction. This should be like a condition precedent to building construction.
Okay. All right. Would that be before this section or after?
It'd be 20, it would be like 20.
Within that paragraph.
So it would be under here someplace.
Would be B.
Yeah, it'd be like right after 21.
Okay.
it would be prior to, individual,
If you want me to come up with this tonight and email it to you tonight, I will.
well, I'd like to kind of do it as we're doing it so that I don't, if I have any
You want
questions.
to bang it
I
out
can
now? We
done.
bang it out now. Doesn't matter to me, however you want to handle it.
So for any single-family condominium home, the applicant or the developer shall submit an
No. An
interim?
individual unit grading plan.
Unit or lot?
No, it's unit because we don't have any lots. It's not
Okay.
subdivision. Good catch though. Unit grading plan highlighting the individual grading around in and around each, in and around the proposed unit.
Showing the actual grades, actual final grades, right?
Actual final grades.
And what is it, the basement floor area?
Showing the perimeter, yeah, showing the foundation footprint. Or going
Foundation
around.
grade?
Say again?
What are we showing?
We're showing the foundation footprint and all proposed grading around the foundation.
Showing the foundation footprint. And actual and finished.
And finished yep. And proposed finished grades immediately adjacent to the proposed foundation. All I want to do is I really want to hammer home what Tim basically discovered. Everybody else missed this and Tim picked it up. And all I want to do is I want to make sure to hammer this home.
All right, I said for any single family condominium home, the developers will submit to the building department, to the building commissioner.
Yep.
An individual unit grading plan showing the foundation footprint and proposed finished grades at and around the foundation.
That's fine. That works. What second sentence? Prior to the issuance, I don't know if it's issuance, but prior to.
Receiving,
Say again?
receiving.
No,
a
prior
building
to,
permit?
no, prior to, it's basically prior to framing the house. Prior to framing the individual units, an individual foundation plan per unit will be required to be submitted to the building department. Something, I'm losing my wording capability right now.
I
I'm
put it in
sorry.
prior to framing.
Prior to framing, that works. A foundation as-built plan shall be submitted to the building department for approval.
Got it? I'm all set.
Where do we leave off?
I have a question. Did we want something in there somewhere about compaction of the fill?
We did. We were talking about it, but I don't know if because Pat's going to be reviewing this all the way through.
Right.
I don't know if we need to say it. That's the problem. At this point, I don't know if we need to say that.
I missed you said something about the fill?
Yeah, the compaction of the fill. In our first
Compaction of the
conversation
fill.
about this, we were talking about limiting them to like 6-inch lifts or something like that with a compaction rate of something. Because there are going to be several lifts going on in here, I would I would default obviously to Pat Brennan, who's going to be the inspector. He's going to be doing all the inspections out here when it comes to this. I would default to his recommendation. So somehow, some way, we would say compaction of all material lifts shall be reviewed and approved by peer review. Something like that.
I don't even know what we're talking about, so.
You weren't here the first time that we went through this. Some of the things that would, from a construction standpoint, because he's basically lifting the entire site up, not the entire site, but because he's lifting primarily the bulk of the site, he's lifting it up 3 feet.
Mhm.
So what's going to have to happen is he's going to have to bring in and level 6 inches and then compact it. And he's going to have to bring in another 6 inches and then compact it.
Can I
But-
propose that, I think Greg was helping us on this particular issue. And if we want to keep this as something to include, then under F, which is related to the, let's see, we're in the conditions precedent to the commencement of the project. And number 19, and then F is the items that shall be included in the final design submittal. And when we get down to these, like the small Roman numerals, we could add a VII. And then this would be something that they would have to submit this
I like it.
to.
I like it.
Just
Yeah,
saying,
it's in the
as
press,
your
that's the
part of
perfect
your-
place.
So Greg, if you're still with us,
Yeah.
if you've got it. So if we want to add it, this would be the place to put it. And we would say.
Something to
Your
do with,
construction, and your construction details, you could say, and compaction requirements.
Fill compaction requirements.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Nice,
I
simple.
mean, a typical, for the access drive, what you could put in there is that the applicant shall provide compaction testings at every 50 feet at a minimum of, in Bridgewater, we use 98% dry density.
Yeah, but see, you guys have an engineering department now, all right? Your highway department regulates this. I'm assuming that, again, Mr. Baker Senior, does the highway department have anything in their regs to cover this?
Well, the thing
I'm
is,
not 100% sure.
Okay,
so my
I know-
suggestion is that we submit this as a requirement of their plans that they have to design it and submit it to Pat Brennan, and that's what
there you
this
go.
condition would do. So
So
Nice,
here,
simple.
I've written something up. Let me read it and then you can comment. Construction details, including the performance of compaction testing deemed necessary by the board's peer review consultant.
Done.
Yeah.
That way, we're not talking about lift heights, we're not talking about compaction rates, we're squarely throwing it on Pat.
Right.
So let Pat determine the necessary requirements and
Exactly.
we're done with it.
He might ask us, well, what do you want for compaction?
Yeah, but see, Greg, we're not, regardless of the fact that we all have knowledge about this construction thing, that's not what we're here for. You know, in an instant, we're here because we know and we understand that. We know that this has to go into the decision, that it has to be taken into consideration, not to set the numbers. You know what I mean? Once we start setting numbers like that, once we actually start setting a compaction rate, that's almost putting a civil engineering stamp on the line. I will never, ever ask you
No,
to put your civil engineering stamp on the line for this. That's what Pat does. And that's what,
What it's saying is, when they grade out the roadway subbase and they've got. the
Greg, I
chip-
know what it says, dude. I don't mean to cut you off. I know what we're talking about. I know there are certain rates of compaction that are required for certain areas under pavement versus in the, in and around the foundation and under the foundation. There are certain numbers that are required. We can't tell them what it is. We are not, we as a board are not that person. Pat is, unless there's regulations that the highway department does have. And if there are regulations that the highway department does have, well, then it is what it is. Here's the other way to look at it. And Mr. Baker, before you say anything, here's the other way to look at it. Is it in the subdivision rules and regulations for roadway construction for the town of Rockland?
Well, that's just the point. All these things have been waived. Yeah,
Not the roadway construction, maybe the width, but it's not even a roadway. It's not even a roadway. This has to be under Pat. This has to be, the whole compaction thing has to be under Pat's jurisdiction. And Pat is going to look at, and he knows, because he does review for the planning board, he knows what their rules and regs are. If their rules and regs call for a certain compaction, then he's going to hold them to it. If he has to come up with his own individual way of looking at it and come up with his own numbers, he's going to come up with it. We're not here to set those numbers. If it's called out in the rules and regulations for the road, for roadway construction or driveway construction within the subdivision rules and regulations of the planning board, then that's what they're going to have to. Then that's what they're going to have to do. But Pat is going to be the one that sets this. I don't want to talk numbers. I don't think we should be talking numbers, because even if you're the only one that understands the numbers, I don't want it in there. If we were all civil engineers, that would be one thing. But that's not our job. Our job is to point out the issue that we see. The issue that we see has the potential. The potential issue that we see is compaction. Let's end it there. Let's end it there and let Pat be the man. So I would appreciate it if we can just keep moving on, because I'm talking too much. Really.
One quick thing.
Yep.
The water and sewer now require flowable fill in all their trenches.
Then wherever we were dealing with up in here, where it comes to
It's in their rules. It's in their rules and regulations, so we don't have to worry about it.
as long as we stated that it has to be that it all has to follow the
Water
rules and
system
regulations.
design and construction, that's number 30.
Yes.
And
Perfect.
Greg's road rules are number 27.
Perfect. All right, where did I can't even remember where we fell off here.
We were like right around 33.
33. All right, so we need
Before
to file.
administrative.
All right. Developer shall submit to the board a complete and detailed as-built final site plans for review and approval by the board. That's perfect. Administrative, the developer has proposed, and the board requires that the following aspects of the project shall be and shall remain forever be private, and that the town of Rockland shall not have now or ever any legal or financial responsibility or operation or maintenance for the driveways or parking areas on the property, stormwater management systems, the components of wastewater system on the property, and landscaping on any common areas of the property. Rock and roll. I'm good there. Prior to the time at which the developer turns over the operation and maintenance of the stormwater management system, the public water supply system will want to connection to the driveways and other improvements to the condominiums that the applicant shall provide the board with proof that an appropriate budget has been established and funded to maintain the system's ways and improvements, and that a contract has been entered into with, yep, that's fine. Driveways and other improvements shall be maintained. Yeah, that's fine. Inspections and testing during the construction of driveway and its utilities drainage corners of schedule set forth in Rockland Planning Board Southern that shall be conducted at the expense of the developer, and the board hereby appoints the board's peer review.
Like
Something
compaction
done.
testing.
There it is. So that kind of works right there. No building shall be occupied until the improvements specified in the decision is set forth in the plans records are constructed and installed so as to adequately serve said building or adequate. Okay. This is where I know we were talking about can he build one, then sell it while he's building the second one? Is that what this is? Is that what this says? No building shall be occupied until the improvements specified in the decision and set forth in the plans of record are constructed and installed.
Rob,
That's
we-
big.
Rob, I was working on the waiver thing while you were talking.
Dig it.
Tell me what provision? What number?
Oh,
It's
I'm on
37.
number 37. Number 37, and I don't know what page. Doesn't say.
It's under the administrative section.
Page 21.
Okay, I'm looking at that now. What's the question?
During number 37, no building shall be occupied until the improvements specified in this decision and set forth on the plans of record are constructed and installed so as to adequately serve said building or adequate security has been provided. Does this
Yeah.
say that he can't build one and then sell it before all the other three are built? Is that what that says?
No, it means that he can't get an occupancy permit for any unit until he's finished all of the infrastructure.
Okay, hey. All right. Is everybody happy with that? And with that, I understand the
Yeah.
explanation now. So if everybody's cool with that, we live with it.
Yeah.
During the pre-construction and construction phases of this proposed project and through the approval of the developer shall fund an escrow account in the preliminary sum of that to be replenished when the balance falls below that. For the boards, yep, that's fine. Subject to approval by HA, this decision shall be recorded senior to all federal, state, and internal laws, regulatory review, boilerplate. Developer shall coordinate the proposed mail delivery and design system postmaster. If a central location is required, developer shall, yep, that's boilerplate. Said final site development plan shall be modified to show all roof drainage directed to underground storage. It already is, but it's nice to have it in there. Concord Street shall not be blocked or restricted by construction activities or equipment, and the developer shall be required to employ a police detail in the event of any activities blocking or restricting traffic on Concord Street. Yes. There shall be no use or storage of hazardous materials other than those types of considered normal household use, residential construction, in conjunction with operation, private way, in conjunction with the operation of the private wastewater disposal system as approved. That's a septic system. We don't have that. So, or in conjunction with the maintenance of the on-site sewer connection or something like that. In the event of any damage done to Concord Street during the construction of the project, or debris or dirt are left from construction equipment entering and exiting the repairs and or street sweeping shall be made or performed immediately to said street at the cost of these. Does anybody, that's fine. I think that's fine.
Good.
The proposed project shall be serviced by municipal sewer. The developer shall apply to the sewer commission to connect to the municipal sewer system and comply with any rule and regulation. I have no problem there, because we're not waiving anything. The proposed project shall not be constructed without final sign-off and approval by the sewer commission. Perfect. The provisions of this permit shall be binding upon this. Perfect. And change in financial interest or the approval must be approved by the board. Yep. Any and all provision of this decision, portion thereof, and persons valid and enforceable. The remainder of the decision and the application thereof to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby. Okay. Additional site amenities such as garages, sheds, and other amenities, including any paved surface, shall constitute changes to the approved plans and shall require approval by the board prior to the construction, consistent with the. Yeah, and they're not going to have any room to do any of this, but whatever. I agree with that.
Mhm.
Decision, filing, appeals, and recording shall be deemed final, applicable within 30 days of expired appeals boilerplate. As provided here, the board shall file its decision with 14 days of proof boilerplate. Any person or parties aggrieved by the decision may appeal pursuant to that. Yep, the developer shall commence construction within 2 years. Yep, provided no more than 4. Yep. Waivers, grants waivers as requested by the applicant only to the following sections, blah, 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 blah. The applicant is requested and the board has granted or denied the waivers from local rules set forth attached in attachment A, which is incorporated herein. We're not looking at that just yet. Because this is all still boilerplate by granting the waivers from local bylaws. As shown in front of the, if in reviewing the applicant's building permit application, building inspector determines that, yep, this is all boilerplate. Yep. Waivers for any and all town of Rockland rules, regulations, and or bylaws not specifically listed above are hereby denied in capital letters. And then that's us. Okay, appendix, do we want to talk about the waivers?
Robert, if you gonna talk about the waivers, I've completed the waiver chart.
Stop sharing.
I could share my screen. I could do that.
Waivers are, I am stop sharing.
Okay, share screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
I gotta move you guys around here a little bit, but here we go. You're going over there now. Okay.
Can everybody see it now?
Mhm.
Okay, so Deb had asked Lou Petrosi to send over a list of the waivers, and he sent them over, but he only sent the list of the original zoning bylaw chain waivers. So what I did is I looked at the original application, which had a list of waivers, and it was zoning waivers, subdivision regulation waivers, water and sewer waivers. So I added those in. So in order, I have put in the ones that he gave today, and then I put the subdivision, and then I added a column for like board action.
Okay.
Okay, and I just used the vernacular that we've used with the most recent decision, granted as per plans,
Fine.
or approved or denied.
Okay. R1 resident zoning district exemption, multifamily, we have to. It's the only way, that's the only way that it gets approved. Building and lot regulations, minimum lot area, maximum number of units, minimum side, minimum rear side. Lot area, we know that. Maximum number of dwelling units per that, we know that. Minimum side 14, minimum rear yard 20. Where does it say the minimum side yard for the deck is 14, minimum side yard for the dwelling is 18?
Yeah, but we just said I've just put granted as per approved plans and conditions.
Or approved it, as long as that cuts us, as long as that covers us, because.
Oh, it's a
I-
partial waiver.
I think the concern was that the building would suddenly be at 14 feet.
That's my concern. I don't want to, and.
Well, granted as per approved plans and conditions.
Okay,
As long as we're covered.
yeah, that's all I care about. Let's see, all residential zoning and all parking areas, loading areas used for access, shall not be said. Attention, proposed access drive is located that, yep, we got no choice there. Minimum family developments, multifamily shall be subject to the site plan review. Requirements are this: minimum area, minimum 20% of the site shall be developed. Building a relationship. It's an exemption. Is that from, what is that from?
That's site plan approval.
Yeah, that's exemption from site plan approval. So yeah, that's granted. That would have to be granted as per plan. Minimum lot width, that would have to be granted. Minimum frontage, that would have to be granted. Only one principal, that would have to be granted. Land use density, entire section, that would have to be granted. Except as provided herein, no building activation shall be initiated and the site plan is first submitted and approved and a building permit is issued by the building inspector. Yep, I can live with that.
Well, it should be granted as per approved plan. Building permit shall still be required.
Yeah,
Building permits for all units shall still be required.
Site plan review and approval, entire section. Yep, that's granted with that, yep, because we're doing it, so I can live with that. Special permit shall be required to construct or otherwise establish any of the specific types of uses identified in the law. Yep, that should be, that's fine. Types of sites and properties, entire section. Yep, that's fine. R1 zoning district, multifamily residence permitted at, yep, that has to be.
Or is it, this is the subdivision rules and regulations. So these are, that's wrong.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the subdivision rules and regulations.
I know that. It's wrong. I didn't put it in the right section.
Oh,
You'll see what I see. When I was creating the chart, I copied the chart from the above one.
okay. Sorry. Okay, blanket waiver to the subdivision. Okay, that's fine. Yep. Well, see that this is where it's going to get interesting because again, if the subdivision control, if the subdivision rules and regulations have information towards, compaction and other stuff like that, that's where he's getting waived.
Well, but that's why you say granted only as per approved plans and conditions.
Okay. This is why we have you, sir.
Well, I learned that I know how to make a chart now.
Nice.
Then he has the water and sewer regulations, and that's how we phrased it in his initial application. So I've just copied what he asked for.
Okay, and we denied that?
Well, I would expect based on our practice that you would deny these.
Can you
I
put that in
deny.
can you put that in capital letters and underline it, please?
No, I'm not.
Can you at least put it in italic?
Nope.
Yep, tapping charges gone, sewer entrances denied, yep, denied.
Yes, no.
I&I removal requirements.
I don't think you're going to be able to waive that because that's part of an EPA consent order.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. Deny it, yeah, that's denied.
Those were all the waivers.
That's it?
Yeah, well, then we have like the rest of the decision that Deb had pulled out, and I left it in here just in case anybody, wanted any of the stuff in here. But, candidly, I think we've got just about everything that you needed to have. Some of it might be phrased a little differently, but
If you're comfortable with it, let me put it over here so I can actually look at you guys. Bob, if you're comfortable with it, based on everything, because again, on the Word document that I saw, we're at the end. 57 comes into our signatures, then there was A, and again, other potential conditions and terms.
So I will say that there were a couple of things. One that stands to mind was the no converting the garages or anything to living space.
Good call.
No converting other living space to more bedrooms. There were a couple of things that I thought were pretty good that were sort of in here and in the Maplewood.
Okay.
So
I found it. That's number 13 that I'm showing on my plan here. Do you see that on my plate?
Yeah.
Why don't I take that and insert that in as a condition?
Perfect.
I would like to see that.
All right. Do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to kind of scroll down the rest of this stuff?
Yeah, Tim, if you're specific and you have specific conditions you want to see thrown in there, Ned, voice them now, and that would be awesome.
It's like I see if I can save us from going through the whole thing.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
I'm going to insert that one in, Tim, while we're waiting. Okay.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So do we want the reference in there for the that they have to have the pre-construction meeting?
It's
With
in
all the-
there.
Okay, what about specifically referencing like the police and the fire department letters? Where he lists out like his CMR stuff. Remember, he wanted a specific reference to his letter.
Is that this one or was that the other one?
Who is the other one? But I know he's gonna want that for this one too. Weren't we gonna make that standard?
Yeah, I think we should. You're right. We should, it shows that we're addressing it shows that we're addressing the concerns of both fire and police.
And what about like, do they have to dig up Concord Street at all?
Yes, they will.
So we want the reference to
Necessarily,
that.
Bob, not necessarily.
We-
It depends on what the sewer commissioners are gonna allow them to do. It doesn't sound like they're gonna have to.
Well, if they move the hydrant, they're gonna have to bring up the water line out in Concord Street to relocate the line.
Not necessarily. Not if they keep the gate in the, not if they keep the gate in the driveway entrance and just 90 off the gate.
They'd have to tap a new 8-inch line though, 6 or 8-inch line to run up the driveway. Showed it on the plans. They were tapping the new line.
At a minimum, they're gonna have to dig up this area to deal with the existing hydrant. They may not necessarily have to go into Concord Street. They're definitely gonna have to go into Concord Street to do this. So Deb, what was the concern about digging up Concord Street?
So we're gonna have to put in a reference to the highway department rules and regs, right? Along with
Absolutely, yeah,
the
you're right.
condensed version, right?
Yep.
Both versions. Okay.
Also, Rob, was the requirement that they meet with the police department to establish the construction?
Lost you, Mr. Baker. I'm sorry. We keep losing you when it comes to your speaker.
I'm sorry. You got me now?
It barely. I don't know. Are you still having problems with your internal speaker?
I thought not until now.
Am I the only one that's not that's losing him every once in a while?
Yeah,
Oh, he fades in and out,
Yeah.
speaker.
You talking about my computer or about me?
Write it in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost to the point where you're gonna have to write it in the chat because we're still having issues hearing you. Deb, do you have any more of those that you wanna throw in there?
Not off the top of my head, but I was gonna review schoolhouse just to make sure.
Yeah, because again, that's also that should technically be boilerplate information other than referring to the specific date of the letter and blah, blah, blah.
Right, right.
So that makes sense because we wanted to do that from day one. So, yeah. Anything referring to the fire, to fire and PD with their specifics.
And highways.
And highway with their specifics. That's a definite. What else? I mean, at this point, those are, again, those should be, though, I think those should be boilerplate.
did we get Mr. Baker's question?
in the chat screen. I don't know if you can get chat when you're, oh, here we go. Have we addressed the requirement that the applicant meet with the police department to establish the construction route? I think that was that's where Deb was going. So once that gets copied over, then it's taken care of. That I heard you say good.
Maybe if I limit my responses to one word.
I'm
Number
thinking
40, number 48 takes care of the highway and for the trenches and Concord Street and stuff.
But
all right, I'm gonna throw this out there. Attorney Galvin, do you have a little bit more typing to do?
I'm hoping not.
Is there 5 minutes that we could have a bathroom break?
If the Celtics are winning, the answer is yes. If the Celtics are losing, the answer is no.
Who can answer that question? Because I hate basketball.
I'm kidding with you.
No, but I don't mind that. I mean, I think that's fair.
What was it again, Bob?
Oh, I can't hear what he's saying. Is it are they winning? Thumbs up if they're winning. Thumbs down if they're losing. Thumbs up, they're winning. Bathroom break, gentlemen. All right, 5 minutes for a bathroom break if anybody needs it. Okay. Bob, did you take out that, I saw the thing about, living space converted to, garage is converted to living space. There was a thing in there.
I added it in,
You added, okay, cool.
and then I put that condition 48 in.
Okay,
I put that into conditions of construction.
perfect.
Rob, if you're looking at your screen at the bottom of what is now page 15,
Yep,
it's under condition 19F. I added a subparagraph 8, no additional habitable space not indicated in the last revised architecture shall be added. No habitable space not indicated in plans as a bedroom shall be converted into a bedroom by the developer by future owners of the units. Use of the roof areas should be limited to mechanic use only. And that be screened from abutting properties.
roll.
And then I put the other one in here on conditions relating to construction. I put in a new 36.
Okay. So that's all excavations in Concord Street. Perfect.
Correct.
Mr. Baker, you happy with that? Mr. Baker Senior, you're muted.
Yes, I'm
You're
sorry.
happy? Perfect.
So the only one that I saw that I'd like to see in there is the dark sky lighting compliance. So either number 8, with, requiring the lighting plan submission, or simply adding a note about dark sky compliance to the condition we have about no other street lights or street illuminations constructed, and then we could say like all exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. So either one would be fine with me.
Yeah. We can put it under compliance with local requirements. E. All exterior lighting on the property in the project.
The condition, if you need a reference, the condition is in those supplemental other potential. It's number 8.
Yeah, that's what I did. I copied it.
Oh, good. Good,
Yep.
perfect,
And I added it as 7E.
good.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Can we get Debs in there about the fire and the compliance with the fire, fire and police,
I don't know which one that is.
I can add those.
I think he's trying to bang it out today. Do you know where they are in this?
No,
So were you thinking number 10, there should be a so we started with saying designated construction route. And then we changed that to just be like consult with the police.
yeah, we have to take out the Summer and Concord Street intersection. That's up to the police.
Yeah.
Right, that's the one we were substituting.
I see. I think you just bring him, you bring the lieutenant to the pre-construction meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, he would, yeah.
I can't see anything else. Construction. Should be coordinated with the police department. I mean, usually you don't construct, it's not construction on a site that's coordinated with the police department. It's construction within the layout of the street, and we did provide for that already. Anything that would block the roadway has to get a police department approval and a detail.
Yep.
That's already in there.
Okay, do you know offhand what section the pre-construction meeting is?
Yep.
Also, do we have in there a provision for the escrow account?
Yep.
Okay,
It's condition number 41 for that. The other one is prior to construction.
well, that makes sense. Okay,
Do we have something that says no construction activity, including land disturbance, shall proceed until the applicant applies for and receives a written notice to proceed from the Board of Appeals?
Yeah, that's not legal.
Why did we put it in the other one?
I don't know. I must have missed it.
The
Okay,
applicant
so,
shall ensure that.
it's condition 19N, pre-construction meeting shall occur.
okay, thank you.
The applicant shall ensure that all construction activities associated with the development be constructed in a workmanlike manner.
Yeah, then you're inserting yourself into the quality construction. Not our job. That's, up to a home inspector and the future buyers. It's got to comply with the building code, and that's what the building commissioner is around for.
We put that in, again, that's another one that we put in the other one. That
Okay.
everybody should be adults about this.
I just don't think it belongs, but that's
Okay.
your call. Would everybody like to just maybe read a clean copy of this and finish it, once Deb has given us the listing of the other information, because I think we're getting close.
What's the deadline on this?
4 years and 2 years.
No, the deadline on getting the decision to him.
Oh, June 10th.
The 10th.
It has to be filed with the town clerk by June 10th. Sorry, Bob.
I just want to make sure that we got what Deb was talking about, making sure that we definitely make reference to fire and water, the fire and water requirements, because he's always Deputy Chief Heaney is very specific when he refers to the fire code, Massachusetts codes. So
Yeah, well, we have a blanket clause in here that basically says they're going to comply with all state laws. So,
okay.
So, or is it being proposed that we read a clean copy of this evening, or that we just get a clean copy of it, read it, and then at a future meeting?
correct.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
I agree.
I can dig that.
I'm going to leave in this draft decision that I've got right now, every single thing that's listed as additional conditions from our other decisions,
Okay.
and allow everybody to look at it.
Okay,
All right. In case you see something else you want to add.
dig it. All right.
Do we have to vote on the waivers tonight? So we can put it in the decision?
You're not voting on anything tonight. You're looking at a draft decision. I just gave you what I think they all are that were requested. And I talked about potential decisions. I mean, you guys can change your minds or approve all of that.
Great.
Yeah, I see where he's going. I see where he's going. There's still stuff that needs to be added. It only makes sense that once that gets added, everybody just reads through it one last time, and then at a future meeting. Not
Which
sure
would
when,
have-
but
We want to talk scheduling.
yeah, what do you,
So Tuesday night, we have Piano Mill.
Has he already requested an extension?
That's a continuance.
Mhm.
Piano Mill,
Yeah.
Tim? Yeah, that's
I'm sorry.
that's an extension, but I don't know if a continuance, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
So he has
If we're
not.
gonna go forward, or we're
requested
gonna have to
another
continue
continuance.
again, yeah. But I did put on the agenda, we can discuss.
either way, but either way, I don't think it's gonna be a long meeting with him, either way. If for some reason the plans that he submitted aren't gonna work, I have to review what he's already submitted, what his engineer has submitted. So I mean, it's,
But he hasn't submitted anything yet for Tuesday's hearing.
right, I know. I
Okay,
know. So the earliest we get it, if I go, I'd have to go over it today, or I'd have to go over it either tonight or first thing in the morning, talk to the engineer. It's probably going to be fine, but the thing is that we can't, without Pat Brennan looking at it, we can't say that it works. We would have to get an approval from, or a letter from Deputy Chief Heaney after he reviews the plan to get his approval on it. If we get a letter from it, I don't know if we can talk about it. That's the problem.
right.
I don't know if we can talk about it at this point. So it's still, it comes down to, I believe that next Tuesday night with that applicant, it may be a short meeting.
Maybe.
Either way it goes,
Mhm.
I have a feeling it could be short. So with this, assuming that everybody is able to, sit down, run through it real quick. If anybody has any major concerns and wants to add something in there, just highlight that. Once that's all said and done, if all the list, because it's the list of documents we got to work with, that we got to just get in there.
The plan, the list of plans and the
Yep.
list of documents.
That once that's all said and done, it's a Control C, Control P, and work with the format. That's really about it. So that's not that big of a deal. It's just literally if anybody wants to go through it and does want to add anything from the other decision, it's just go over that real quick. I really don't see that being a huge issue. Again, even if we did put that on after whatchamacallit, I don't see us being there too late.
I'd be comfortable moving this to Tuesday.
Yeah, it's on the agenda already.
Perfect.
And
All right.
I'm just gonna schedule a hearing for the 9th, just in case, which I can cancel on Wednesday,
Okay.
hopefully. Because I have to post it before the hearing Tuesday night, the agenda.
Worst case scenario, if it can't be canceled or something like that, I'll just set it up. I'll show up. I'll just,
I can cancel it. I can cancel it Wednesday.
All right. As long as
We'll know Tuesday.
All right. Yeah, no, you're right. We'll know Tuesday if we need it on Thursday. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
All right, schedulings are up.
All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Hold on, Senor, Mr. Attorney Galvin, you in a good place at this point, sir?
Yeah, I've kept up with everything that you've asked me to do tonight. So I think the major focus now is to have Deb
Yep.
add in those sections
Yep,
Mhm.
and then having everybody else be prepared to finalize this on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
All right. All right, so I heard a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I heard a second. Roll call. Where'd everybody go? Mr. Haynes, I see you.
yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
myself is a yes. All right, done. Thank you for hanging out here. It's been like almost exactly 3 hours. So basically we drove from Boston to the New York border. For the
Let's
most
hit the
part.
city.
What'd you say?
I said, let's hit the city.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Let's hit the city. But at least we didn't have to pay tolls. So that's not such a bad thing. The other thing that just before we leave, the other thing I wanted to do, Miss Boyd, I knew I was going to see you tonight. I don't know why. I just kind of thought I was going to see you tonight. You've been in a lot of these meetings. All right. You've been at several of these meetings.
Mhm.
I would invite you to make application to become a member of the zoning board.
Oh,
I know, and you see what we have to deal with. You see
Yeah.
what we have to deal with. You see what our schedule is. You've been very active when it comes to these last two 40Bs. I would invite you to make application. If you can't do it and you don't want to do it, I understand. But in the end, I like it when people do this. I like it when people are active and people get involved, not just because you live right down the street from the project. You know, I like to see that. If I ever see, what's his name? Patrick Ronan. I think that was his name, where we kept seeing him with the shingle mill project. I would entertain him. I would ask him to join too. But again, this is a tough racket to have to deal with. So I just want you to know that I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you hanging in here. It's a learning experience for just about everybody sometimes. So, all right. So again, I hope we entertained you for the night.
you do. And I appreciate everybody's hard work and time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We all appreciate that, the kind words. Now, get out of here.